All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to give it another couple minutes just to give folks a chance to. It is on. I'm just letting folks on the Zoom know too. We're going to give it a few more minutes just to let any late arriving folks here in the room join us.
Could you just review how many units are going in here? Are you going to do that?
That will be part of the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Graham Petto. I'm a planner with Topology, a senior land use planner with Topology. We serve as the township's planner. So tonight we're here for the 9 Main Street Affordable Housing Development Design Session. We have a hybrid format here, so we do have, I think, a number of folks that are participating on Zoom as well. And we also have our folks here in the room. We will be having feedback provided both here in our in-person environment and also virtually. For those attending online, you will participate in the breakout room session that is listed on the affordable housing page, and will provide another meeting opportunity where you'll have a poll to review the same materials that we were discussing here in person. We wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to participate in whichever format they felt most comfortable. So we'll go to the next slide, Alex. Let's zoom in. Yeah. The arrow is right there. Perfect. So just an overview of who's here this evening and who's going to be participating in tonight's presentation. My name is Graham Petto. As I mentioned, I'm the township planner with Topology. Also joining us this evening is Joe Portelli from RPM, the currently selected developer for the project, and Aaron Pumo of Inglese Architecture and Engineering, as well, the design firm that will be assisting in design of the affordable housing project at 9 Main Street. We can go to the next slide. So I wanted to do a little bit of context, and this answers the first question that we had this evening. So, you know, the affordable housing development has been obviously talked about a lot here in the township. So just to provide context of what that is and where this kind of came from. So the development requirements of the executed final agreement between the Fair Share Housing Center and the Township of Millburn include the requirement for construction of a 75-unit, 100% affordable building. That is in black and white as part of the signed and executed final agreement between the township and Fair Share. The 75 units, as I mentioned, will be 100% affordable. So there's no mix of units, it's all affordable units. And the breakdown is as presented on screen: 15 one-bedroom units, 37 two-bedroom units, 23 three-bedroom units. The development is to be developed on a portion of the DPW site and will be located at 9 Main Street, just south of the New Jersey Transit rail line. The agreement requires that adequate parking and recreational space be provided on site for the residents of this new building. The agreement further stipulates that screening and setback from the DPW must be incorporated into the design to ensure that the residential portion of the site has a good separation and good distinction from the DPW property. The agreement further emphasizes that access to the property and to the residential building must be provided from Main Street. And cannot cross paths with any of the DPW operations. So ingress and egress to the site must be through Main Street. And finally, the agreement stipulates that construction of the new project must begin by October 1st, 2023. So we do have some time to work through this process, but the agreement does stipulate that construction must begin. So these.
What happens if it doesn't begin? We're not gonna call out, like just wait. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So and I'll mention it. So as this is kind of for background, like table setting, I'll say, just to provide everyone participating both here in the room and online, what's already kind of been settled and agreed upon between the township and Fair Share. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to focus on what we can talk about with this project and where we can create some change and create some design parameters for what we'll see here in the community. So we want to focus the discussion this evening on those components. And we will provide information to contact to ask further questions should you have other questions on other components of the project. So on to the next slide. This is just showing the agreement. The agreement is available on the Township's Affordable Housing page. It is settlement term number 12 of the agreement, details the requirements for the 100% affordable development project. And subsection A details the 75 units, as I just mentioned. Next page. So looking at the proposed site area of the development. So the area outlined in pink will encompass the proposed development site. As you'll see, there are a number of operations of the DPW property within that space. The township is concurrently working to identify alternative locations for DPW operations to be relocated given the construction that's forthcoming. Again, that's not really something we'll get into in much detail this evening. Further questions on that can certainly be addressed through the township email. So as you can see, there is frontage of the site along Main Street, just south of the tracks. And, you know, there is it's kind of an odd, long rectangular shape to the site, which will provide for the development area. Next slide, please. Okay, so the context for this evening's discussion. So we'll be discussing the public design components of the project. So we wanted to create an opportunity for the public to be present and provide some feedback here in person on the design of the building. We'll be discussing the character of the development, looking at different material palettes, looking at the building form, as well as site design and how we want the building to be arranged on the site, thinking about those types of contextual things and how it presents itself to the street. We'll also discuss some sustainable design components as far as green building, green roofs, other green sustainable design elements that the township may see as important to consider in the design and execution of this project. And then finally, we'll also discuss streetscape improvements, looking at the sidewalk, open space, and landscaping in the area, particularly along Main Street. So that's really the focus of this evening's conversation. And again, as I mentioned, if there are any other questions or discussion on any other matters related to this project, we provided the email address. Let us know at millburntownship.org where those questions or comments can be directed. Next slide. Okay, so what we've done is we kind of did a photo survey of the existing conditions here in the downtown to provide some precedent images to kind of see what is the look and feel of downtown Millburn in its existing form. So here, the next couple slides, we have some photographs that kind of depict existing buildings here in the downtown to kind of get residents thinking about what the character of the existing community is and how some form of new construction should fit in with the existing character. Or not. We've heard some varying opinions on that front. And it's important to, as we kind of start out with this slide and the next, it's important to remember that building design encompasses a lot of different elements and components. You have height of windows, how the first floor is designed, how the building has a step back or materiality, all kinds of different things. Those are subcomponents that we as planners will work to craft into the regulations. But what we're looking for from residents is for you all to look at a building and tell us how you respond to it and how you feel about that. There's a lot of sub-parameters. If we show you different things, you may say, I don't know what that will do, but looking at a building in its totality is how you can be informed in reviewing that. So we have this kind of showing some existing development in the downtown area. The next slide, I think, is another slide of the same. We have, just the existing buildings here in the community. Kind of quite a mix, a lot of different variety. We have different roof styles, different windows, different presentation to the street. So it's certainly an eclectic mix in the existing form. Something to think about as we contemplate a new building on this property at Main Street. Next slide. So I did just kind of want to run through what are these subcomponents that we can incorporate into the design parameters or requirements that the developer will have to follow in order to achieve a building design. So something to consider is a step back. So here in this building at the top left, it's a 4-story building, but at the street front edge, you wouldn't know that. The 4th story has a step back. So it appears as 3 stories, but in fact it is 4. And kind of just showing the variation if you had a step back or there were no step back, something to consider. Next slide. Looking at the articulation of development, do we design this building as one unit, one building, or on the bottom right here, you'll see differentiation through design. So different building facades on the same building. So it breaks it up and looks like a series of smaller buildings. Something to consider as you think about that. And then variation of materials. We have a lot of different materials here in the downtown area, and different materials that we can consider on the site. Masonry, brick, stone, wood siding, all different types of things to consider here as we think about material presentation in the final form. And then also thinking about roof pitch. We have a variety of roofs here in the downtown, and how does that translate itself? So we can think about a flat roof for the building, perhaps a sloped roof presentation, or even a mix as shown in the bottom right-hand corner, a mix of roof lines to consider. And then also thinking about how the ground floor presents itself to the streetscape. On the left-hand side, we have a differentiation of the ground floor for it to be more prominent or pronounced. So with different materials, awnings, stone pediment, first floor on the bottom left is a nice presentation, or no differentiation. Here on the bottom right, we have an existing multifamily apartment building here in Milburn that has a uniform appearance for all the floors of the building. So other things to think about as you review the designs. And then the development form, we have a variety of window openings. So we have small windows, we have medium size or large size windows. These are other things that we can incorporate into design parameters as we move forward with the development with the developer. And then also window treatments, cornice work, material highlights, shutters, large pane windows, other things to think about. So there's a lot of different subcomponents of design when you're looking at a whole building and kind of responding to that. Next slide. Regarding sustainable design features, one thing that we did want to just think about is the incorporation of these green features into the proposed design. Things like bike racks, electric vehicle charging stations, Energy Star appliances within the units to achieve low energy use, LEED certification for green building. Perhaps that should be a requirement of the building design. Next slide. Green roofs, to reduce heating and cooling for the building, and then also stormwater management. Looking at swales or other opportunities to retain water on site and mitigate any flooding or water impacts in the immediate area. Next slide. And then so shifting gears and now thinking about the streetscape and thinking about how this new building will present itself to the township. So we did a little bit of some site investigation and a little bit of looking at the existing conditions here. So this photo here that we see on the screen is a photo standing on Main Street or Old Short Hills Road looking north back towards the New Jersey Transit tracks. On the right-hand side, you'll see here the streetscape includes buildings to the street line. We have nice wide sidewalks with light bollards. We have parking on that side of the street tree, relatively young, but on its way up, further up on the right-hand side. And then if you look at the left-hand side, where we have this proposed site that we're contemplating for 9 Main Street, we have existing conditions that include a very narrow sidewalk. There's no pedestrian scale lighting on this side of the street. The brick curb strip or brick accident path is in relatively poor condition. So when you start to look at the two sides, you see a noticeable similarity between the two. Next slide. So here, what we did is we wanted to create an elevation view looking on the street. So this is the existing condition of what we see here, looking northbound. So just kind of showing some of those relative dimensions and how that kind of presents itself. And we have, the existing DPW site, some grass area, the narrow sidewalk at 4 feet, our lanes of traffic, and then the opposite side of the street with the street trees and this larger sidewalk. Next slide. We want to focus on enhancing the connection between downtown and the middle school and Paper Mill Playhouse to the north. We think that this could be a really good opportunity, leveraging this new development to create improvements in the public right of way and create a better connection up to downtown, create a safer walking environment for middle school students coming down into the downtown with a wider sidewalk and those types of things. So now here in this photograph, we're standing on the north side of the train tracks. Here on the left side, again, we see that the improved wide sidewalk, the existing light bollards, a nice condition, a good walking path to connect downtown to downtown. And on the right-hand side, the west side of the street, we have that narrow sidewalk again, no lighting, much narrower condition, not great pedestrian path to connect down to the Main Street area. Next slide. And then even looking underneath the overpass itself, it's in relatively poor condition, not a great looking space. We have the black metal aluminum fencing on the right-hand side, and then which is the improved side with the wider sidewalk. On the left-hand side of this photo is just a chain link fence between the abutments along that narrower sidewalk side. So some improvements certainly can be made to spruce this area up and enhance that connection. And this development process can kind of supplement that process here as well. Next slide. And so, this is just a precedent image for us to contemplate how we can improve that space. This is the underpass in South Orange. They have a nice mural on the side, something just to kind of spruce the space up. They also have enhanced light fixtures in there, just to kind of light that way and create a safer pedestrian path for folks to move up and down. So there's some things that we can think about as we contemplate improvements to the space. Next slide, please. Something else to think about in the realm of the streetscape is enhancing the connection between, as we've been discussing, downtown Millburn and middle school and Paper Mill, by perhaps continuing the streetscape improvements. We have the new painting and the curbing and the street furniture that we have done in the downtown area in particular. And perhaps we have an opportunity with this development site to extend that nice paving treatment and that street furniture up north to the middle school. Again, enhancing that connection with downtown and in front of the site. As you can see on the left, we have that existing condition, which is certainly lacking all of those features that could use some improvement. Next slide. So again, this is just a very quick schematic to kind of contemplate how this may be a better activated space, thinking with respect to the street frontage. So, we do have an opportunity for an open space area in front of the building, in front of the proposed building. So here in this graphic, we've just put some outdoor tables and chairs just to kind of show use of the space. We have a bench, a tree, some of that pedestrian scale lighting, just really creating a better balance with the opposite side of the street. And again, as we said, enhancing that kind of green connection with downtown. So these are just kinds of things to think about. Next slide. And then, as planners, we like to have kind of big ideas and think big. So, what we've thought here is, well, if we have this green space that's going to be in front of this building, and then in fact, the two properties, there's two lots to the south, and both are owned by JCP&L, and they're both unoccupied open green space. Perhaps we can work with JCP&L, and create an additional green opportunity, and maybe create a little bit of a linear green feature that complements a new sidewalk improvement, which will really enhance a nice streetscape appearance between the middle school and down to downtown Millburn. So just kind of looking at these spaces, which are depicted on the right. So we have label number 1 is the open space area out front of the proposed building. Space 2 is the large JCP&L area, which is about 9,000, almost 10,000 square feet of space. And then what we can think about is maybe at the driveway, we do a pedestrian-friendly treatment or a grass treatment or not grass itself, but some kind of paving treatment to connect these spaces together. And then we wanted to think about, well, how can we activate this kind of linear space that we're going to think about here? Do we have a community garden? Is there a bench and table seating to complement this area? Chess tables, public art, water feature? What kind of lighting do we want? Thinking about ways to use this development opportunity to improve that connection with downtown and the middle school and create a better overall public space. Okay, next slide. All right, so what we're going to do for the next portion of the meeting is we're going to go into 2 breakout groups, and we're going to spend 15 minutes for each group. We have 2 groups set up. The first is building and sustainable design features, which will be in this room, and the second is community open space and streetscaping, and that's going to be down in the conference room at the other end of the hallway. And so we've provided you all stickers, which you can pick up at the front table if you haven't yet. And you'll be placing some stickers and adding Post-its, letting us know and giving us feedback as to what we may have missed, where we can improve and what we need to think about as we continue this. For the folks joining us on Zoom, there is a link to join the breakout room meeting on the affordable housing page of the township website. You can click into that. That will be curated by Will Kurtzenberger, my colleague from topology in our office, and Jesse Molman will be there as well in the online virtual breakout room. You will have the exact same experience as us. You have the same boards that you will see, and we actually set up a polling feature. So there will be a poll in Zoom for you to vote on the same images that we see here. So we're going to pause now, and we're going to shift into our breakout rooms, and feel free to discuss. And Erin will also assist as well. Okay.
How many people are on Zoom?
You're right.
40.
Because you're
So, for the benefit of everybody here in the room, we have done in parallel a little bit is an online public survey, which has been available now for about a week. And that will be available through May 3rd. We're going to leave that online survey available. So far, yeah, that's where it's going. So as of this morning, we had 584 responses to the online survey as well. So yeah, so we're really thrilled to have such impassioned feedback from the residents of Milford. It's great to have so much input on this design process. So thank you to everybody here and out there.
Here we go. You're up, Graham.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Hopefully, the online experience was good for those folks participating and joining us on Zoom. Just wanted to kind of bring everybody back together just to kind of review where we had some selections and kind of just talk about where we're going to go next in this process. So it looks like just kind of initial reactions. I don't know if one of my fellow folks that were shepherding this group wanted to weigh in and add things, but just kind of reacting to where folks showed preference. It looks like we're looking at which buildings do you like the most image, and it looks like building 5, 8. We have a couple votes for 2. Oh, sorry, is it 9? Oh, 9. Sorry, yes. So an interesting kind of mix and kind of seeing some similarities in approaches that we see here in the approach as well. Coming over here to sustainable elements that we like, it looks like we have a lot of good preference for some good stormwater management practices. Green Roofs has a couple of votes, as does electric vehicle charging and some and Energy Star designs. That's good to see as well. Some excellent feedback. That's great. And then kind of looking at what folks prefer with respect to downtown character, which photos kind of embody the downtown character. So we're seeing, I guess it's image 1 of the word deli we have here. Schoolhouse Plaza, a couple of votes. Common Lot, yeah. So some good responses here. And I know that we had some discussion just about step backs and starting to allude to some of those individual components of the building. It was good to get some of that feedback as well. And I hope that the folks online will have the results of the Zoom poll that they did as well and shared their experience there. I'm going to pull up the boards, Mark, for the streetscape and open space. So this was a really good, lively discussion, I feel. I think that this really presents itself as one of the best opportunities for the township to kind of really enhance the public realm and enhance the streetscape and improve that connection, both with respect to safety, as well as thinking about how this project can be a long-term fixture and a benefit to the community. On the open space side, we did really have some folks zeroing in. This nice image number 9 of this nicely landscape walking path has got a lot of votes here. Image 5, which kind of is this linear path concept as well. A couple of votes for public art or other hangout spaces, dog park as well. So some things to think about. Really the JCP&L property is, I think, a great opportunity to create that kind of green connection with the downtown as we think about that. This was a really beneficial slide, I feel. So this one is the streetscape. What issues, opportunities did we miss? What things, did we not catch in our initial survey? It's always great to ask residents this because you guys are here all the time. We come and, we do our observations and evaluations, but you guys are living this at, 8 a.m. school drop off and 5 p.m. coming back, running errands. So we heard some great feedback as far as circulation. That's a real big concern that folks have. How are we going to get in and out of this driveway and access the site? How, can we turn left? Is anybody going to turn left at 5 o'clock? Do we have to think about a signal? What impact is that circulation going to have on the on-street parking in this area? Things to think about. Lots of commentary about improving the sidewalk experience and the streetscape, illumination, lighting, safety. We heard, some kind of treatment along the curb line to protect middle schoolers from running out into the street or, congregating in areas and kind of keeping them on the sidewalk. So some really good comments that we had. I think that we, have some really good feedback to go back with the developer and sit down with Joe and Aaron and their teams to kind of talk through this process and kind of share where we need to think about this project going. So as far as next steps for this process, just for the benefit of everyone, we'll be putting together what we heard document. I like to usually do this following these types of presentations. We're going to put up together a narrative document that summarizes these comments, includes maybe some photos of these boards, just to report out there for everybody to know, this is what we heard. This is what was said at the community meeting. This is the feedback that we got. That way there's an official record for, the development team, for us, for the residents to know, what was said and where things go. Following that, we'll look to the design team. We'll work with your comments in hand with Joe and Aaron to kind of, craft that design approach and how we're going to get there. We'll look for a revised design, I would say, probably early June, for something to kind of come back around for folks to see. Otherwise, in the meantime, feel free to email letusknow@milburntownship.org for any additional comments or feedback. And that's going to do it for us. Yeah, Alice. you want to share anything else or?
Yeah,
No, I got it. So, and again, just as a reminder to residents and that we do have a page on our town, on our website, under our community, affordable housing, anything that sort of is in addition to that, or gets will be added there when it comes to this subject. One of the things that will be coming up, and just wanted to use this opportunity, is that, we're gonna have a relatively informal roundtable about the overlay zones that are being proposed. This is something that, again, is a part of the fair share housing settlement we need to move forward with. So information will be coming out tomorrow about that. We will have two brief sessions on that, May 3rd and May 5th. So just keep an eye out for that on social media and on the township's website with details to follow. So just wanted to make that announcement.
Thanks, Alex. And one last final plug for also on the affordable housing page is if you know anybody who couldn't attend tonight, this has been recorded, so we'll be able to share that out. But also the online survey is still available and will remain open until May 3rd. So anybody that that hasn't had a chance to share their thoughts or design perspective, feel free to let them know, and they can still let us know their comments and feedback. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. So we'll be available if anybody has any quick questions afterwards offline. But appreciate everybody's feedback. This is where you guys make the most impact. This is where the design process begins. So thank you so much for giving your feedback and helping inform this process.
Thanks to everybody.
And thank you so much to the online participants. I hope everybody had a good, I guess they're over there. Hopefully everybody had a good experience. Please let us know. So, all right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.